So thank you guys for that. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
Hey. It's America's dad.
So we were looking around for this book that I wrote with Drew a million years ago, and I seem to recall there's some sort of test in there and test results, and we were trying to quantify the yummy phase on this show last week, and I had this vague memory of, there's something in there where I can assign a number or what phase you're in or where you're at, and it turned out I had a gay aptitude test. Mm-hmm. And a lesbian aptitude test in the book that was written, probably in like 1998. I don't know if it says it on there, but I seem to remember it's a good 20 years old. And it's something I used to keep track of when I was doing Loveline. And just like I'm laughing because somebody sent me a rich man, poor man today that took me a second, and then I realized after a beat of processing it, maybe the best one so far.
Oh. Okay.
Maybe. Now, you know me, though. I like the ones that are a little off the beaten path.
Sure,
like
a little A to C.
Doesn't eat at an Outback Steakhouse or never eaten at Outback Steakhouse.
Start in Bill and Ted.
Once you have to, Bill and Ted, great. When you have to process it for a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
But I processed this rich man, poor man that somebody sent me today was gotten off by Kim Kardashian.
Oh, that's...
Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah, strong. It's the wording.
Wow.
The wording gets you.
Yes,
perfectly worded.
It takes about a 2.5 Mississippi, and then you go, oh my God.
Kim Kardashian got you off.
That's
Ray
right.
J or Deborah Marie McDonald.
Right. Yeah, or maybe it was
some basketball player.
Kim
Kanye.
Kardashian got you off.
That's good.
Yes.
There you go.
Kim Kardashian has gotten you off.
Wow. Strong. New leader in the clubhouse.
So
Abe Lopez for that one. Thanks, Abe.
So the origins of Rich Man, Poor Man, of course, were just sitting around the writer's table at Jimmy Kimmel's many years ago thinking about an outdoor shower. That was sort of the origin of Rich Man, Poor Man. The origin of the gay test was, I think I was talking to Drew about working in gay men's houses and lucite shower doors and glass enclosures, and that they always had a squeegee handy. And then Drew went, oh my God, I bought like 2 homes from gay couples. Like I bought a condo once and I bought a home. They're both with the squeegee by the thing. And we somehow stumbled onto this squeegee is a precursor or a tell or something for gay. And I think we used to even talk about this. You got a squeegee in the shower? Like
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it'll pop up with a straight couple, but it's definitely bachelor dudes or roommate dudes. They're not squeegeeing it, and it's a gay couple thing.
I don't know about that guy. What do you mean he's got a squeegee in a shower?
Right. So it is from 1998. So we found the book. Chris went and found the book and got the book.
At your dad's house.
It was an odyssey. We broke in my dad's house.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, first I said, you got the book? And he's like, they don't have it on Amazon. And then I said, did you look in used books? And then he found it.
That's exactly how it went.
No, you said you couldn't find it or something like that. But then we found it.
We got it.
It's used. How much is it? $5?
Yeah, it was a little over $5.
So we have the gay aptitude test.
Oh.
And this is well sorted. And we also have once you combine your numbers at the end, what you are.
Okay.
So
and is it gender
satisfying.
Specific or?
There's a lesbian aptitude test.
So,
I was going to say, I think you're all
yes.
going to score high on the lesbian aptitude test.
All right. So
can we take the test?
Yeah.
Right.
Or play along at home. But
can we hear the questions?
Dawson has it. Has it ready. Yeah.
Would you like some game show music with this?
More than anything.
If you know the difference between eyeliner and mascara, plus 2 points.
Brian, come on.
I really don't.
Now you're just being
I thought that was the
obtuse.
same thing.
For every Broadway show tune you know the words to,
Oy.
plus 3 points.
Start to finish or any
Hold
words?
on.
Just some of the words, I guess.
For each of those that is led by Stephen Sondheim, plus 10 points. If you've ever pronounced the word vase as vase, plus 5 points. If you know the difference between taupe and mauve,
Oh, wait.
Taupe and mauve.
Taupe?
taupe
Oh.
and mauve,
Very
Taupe
different.
and mauve.
plus 5 points. If you can pronounce taupe and mauve,
Oh,
plus 10 points.
That
look
was
at you.
Dawson did.
And erase your concert ticket stub on your dresser, plus 15 points. If you know what a tea cozy is, plus 3 points. For each cardigan sweater in your closet, plus 5 points. For each Argyle sweater vest, plus 10 points. If you've ever gotten a professional massage that didn't invoke an Asian woman and a hand job, plus 10 points. If you've ever taken a me day, plus 15 points. If you've ever paid more than $8 for a haircut, plus 5 points.
Well, this is adjusted for 1998.
Either way.
We'll double it.
I was looking for the year on the book and I lost my place. Stand by. Here we go.
1998, sorry.
For each scented candle you own, plus 5 points. For each scented candle that smells like a guy's ass, plus 20 points. If you own a mustache comb, plus 5 points. If you've ever sweated or even lightly perspired to the oldies, plus 10 points. That's a sweating to the oldies.
Got it. Richard Simmons.
For every pair of shoes you own with a buckle, plus 2 points. For every pair of shoes you own with tassels, plus 3 points. If you've named your penis, minus 5 points. If you've named your roommate's penis, plus 15 points. If you purchase underpants in quantities smaller than the big value 14 pair chub pack, plus 5 points. If you purchase underpants with buckles or tassels, plus 10 points. If you're into aromatherapy, plus 5 points. If you think aromatherapy means farting in a sleeping bag, minus 10 points. That's a test. Give you a chance to tally up your
I need a
scores.
calculator.
This is going to take too long to tally up, but go ahead and give us the results and people can do it retroactively.
If you scored 0 to 20, you're gun buddies with Charlton Heston. Score 21 to 40, ready to cruise Hollywood Boulevard with Hugh Grant. 41 to 60, ready to cruise Hollywood Boulevard with Eddie Murphy. Score 61 to 80, a regular patron of Liberace Museum in Las Vegas. 81 to 100, you make Harvey Firestein look butch.
I like that he mispronounces
Yeah, that's
all the
negative 15 points.
Yeah. All right. Do you have the lesbian? We can do the lesbian one tomorrow.
You guys, real quick, I just have to tell you something. I'd like
super
to.
guy?
I'd like to come out to you. I have a score of 470.
That's good.
I think
Show tunes.
I think the
Yeah,
show
that was
tunes
the
got
one.
you. All right, let me hear the lesbian one. I'm interested unless we want to get into some of these. I don't know. I was kind of enjoying that. For me, it's weird because I wrote it 20 years ago, so I have no idea what any of the what they are.
If you drive an El Camino, plus 3 points. If it has a lumber rack, plus 10 points. For each pair of Birkenstocks in your closet, plus 10 points. For each pair of steel-toed boots, plus 15 points. If you've ever uttered the phrase, "My friends call me Dutch," plus 15 points. For each dog you own, plus 5 points. If you breed Dobermans, Mastiffs, or Rottweilers, plus 15 points. If you own a tennis racket autographed by Martina Navratilova, plus 10 points. If you ever quit your job to join the Pro Bowling Tour, plus 10 points. If you own a Snap-on Tools catalog, plus 5 points. If you need to replace it more than twice a year, plus 10 points. If you replace it monthly, plus 15 points. If you refer to pants as dungarees, plus 5 points. If the knees of your dungarees are reinforced, plus 15 points. If you sport either of these hairdos, a fade or a mullet, plus 10 points. If your friends call you Mr. Goodwrench, plus 10 points. If you roll your own cigarettes, plus 10 points. If you can do it with one hand on your Harley's handlebars on the freeways, plus 25 points. If you've ever done any stage diving, plus 5 points. If you did your stage diving at Lilith Fair, plus 10 points. If you scored 0 through 20, you're singing in the choir with Amy Grant and Marie Osmond. 21 through 40, woodworking with Martha Stewart. 41 to 60, starting to make Roseanne look feminine. 61 to 80, lobbying with Chastity Bono. 81 to 100, Ellen DeGeneres considers you radical.
Nice.
Wow.
Hit the post.
I guess
Much lower score.
Ellen was out, I guess, then.
Yeah.
Haven't heard anything about Chastity Bono.
Or Bono.
Or Bono. Yeah. She transitioned?
Chaz, I think.
Chaz, that's right, Chaz.
That's done. Did I think?
That's done did.
I think.
And then kind of dropped out. Somebody tweeted me a Alyssa Milano song. You know, we're never going to get this time back again, that time where if someone was a teen star, they had to sing a song, or someone was popular, they had to
Right.
sing a song.
Yes.
And
Was it Teen Steam Gotta Let It Out?
yes.
Oh
it
my
was
God, I
Teen-
remember it.
Gina.
I never would have thought about that again for the rest of my life.
She must have been 14
Yes.
or something.
It's like a workout video
She
song.
was also
Prime Balding Brian time.
very
You remember that.
oddly sexualized
Yep.
at a very
Yeah.
young
Yep.
age. Like this thing of like, well, we'll just put her in cycling shorts and a sports bra, and then we'll have her lie down and do like scissor kicks
Yeah.
on her side. And it's kind of like, okay, I think this is a kind of a sexual thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much aerobic exercise 13-year-old girls really need. I would say just walk to school and play some volleyball.
Giggle a little.
You don't really need to do a full Jane Fonda
No, never.
thing. I remember once being at like a Blockbuster video or something, and they had the whole Jane Fonda thing. Again, this is like pre-internet porn,
they're titillating.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember at some point in the Jane Fonda series, you know, video number 5 was like 4 pregnant women. And I was like in a Blockbuster, like I held it up to one of the guys. I go, what kind of sick fuck beats off to pregnant women? And he said, I think it's a workout video. And I was like, oh, get at it. Come on.
Who would do that?
Who would do that?
Now you're just talking crazy.
Yeah, so Alyssa Milano was 15 years old. And it also has a bit of that thing that we talk about. I think most, like you keep going, why is Alyssa Milano so angry? Mm-hmm. She's had this great life of privilege, and she's angry. And then I started to kind of drill down on it, and it was like, why was David Cassidy a horrible alcoholic, and why was Rosie this way, and why was and why was Ellen that way? Because anytime you try to stuff somebody into a happy mode or a pop idol mode or like
Miley Cyrus.
right, it morphs, it gets like infected, it festers, and it pushes out in
It
some
acts
weird
out,
negative way. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. So you have David Cassidy just singing like pop bubblegum teeny pop, and he wants to rock like Jimi Hendrix. And now, so then we sit around and we go, you made so much money, you never worked a day in your life, why are you so angry? And they're so angry because they never really knew who they were or what their potential could have been. And also
everyone thinks they know who they are, and they're completely mistaken.
there's also this, which is, there's this syndrome as well. It's a two-way street, but it's mostly always broads all the time. There's the
qualifying.
woman. There's the woman who like stayed home and like raised the kids, and the guy went out, made a nice living, and they had a nice life. But she was always resentful that she could have been this or that, but wasn't allowed to be this or that. But never really showed any signs of being a great lawyer or doing what she had to do. And then the kids went off to college, and she still never went to law school. But it's much easier just to resent that person that never lets you realize this than to kind of find a mirror and own it.
I gave you the best years of my life.
Right. So Alyssa, I think, was somebody probably figured out that she had to be happy and pretty all the time, and no one wanted to see any other side of her other than that. And that thus we get the vitriolic Alyssa Milano today, when there should be. I do believe if you grow up in the middle, you remain in the middle. If you grow up hard this way, like, just paint a smile on your face and tap dance for everyone and make sure everyone's pleased around you. And also a weird sort of undercurrent of you need to please men, even though you're 13.
That, and also full-grown adults, be them family members, managers, agents, are all depend on you for money.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You.
somebody sent me her teen steam.
This is going to take me back.
Well, there's a whole workout video, but I'm just looking for the song.
The hook. Teen
Yeah,
Steam, gotta
'cause
let it out.
Let's watch the video.
Somebody would just get the syntho out and write a super 80s song, and then I guess it's a super 80s song, like late 80s, and then you just sing to it.
Yeah.
And I guess every 14-year-old girl can sing a little bit as long as there's a filter and whatever, but we'll hear a little teen steam.
I tell you right now by the shoes, it's like 1991, 1992.
Early 90s?
Yep.
All right.
Sometimes I feel like I'm living on the edge. About halfway in between a feather and a sledge. My parents want an angel, my teachers want a brain. My friends just want a party, and it's driving me insane. I feel the pressure from my family, pressure from my friends, pressure from inside of me.
This is like confessional song.
I know. Gina knows the words.
Here comes the hook.
Let it out. Teen steam. Gotta let it out. Gotta let it out. Teen steam. Gotta get it out. Gotta get it out. Teen steam.
Yes.
Gotta let it out. Gotta let it out. Teen steam. Gotta get it out. Get it out. Let your body move. Let your body let out some of that steam.
All right.
1990, 1991, I'm going to say.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not noble, I guess.
It's 88.
88. Well, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, that version of Alyssa Milano will be missed. Now we got the super angry Alyssa that's
Well, the
let
one
it
who
all
weeps,
out.
The one who weeps with her daughter.
That's right.
Turns out you don't have to sing.
Now, it's just, God, the 80s were bad times, man. Bad.
But when you think of all these people, like, people who aren't destroying their lives with drugs or alcohol to, sort of pour liquor on the pain of, childhood wounds, you got Alyssa Milano or, and Miley Cyrus was acting out or whatever, like, also good for them. Like, they're realizing who they are, whatever it is. It might as well, other than, or go the David Cassidy route.
I don't, I don't mind them sharing their opinions.
Good radio content.
I don't mind. I kind of like the weird Miley Cyrus version of it better than the angry version of it. But yeah, I don't care. It's also, what I'm saying is it's like the people who, it's like I used to talk to Drew about this. Here's what you should choose for your life and for your children, hopefully. We would talk to people that were, like, let's say a young girl molested, then at some point got to her teens and became overly sexual and sexualized and like acted out, and the voice changes and the look, and they traded on their sexuality and they're sort of hypersexual, and then at a certain point shut down and got angry and became completely non-sexual and celibate, and then started the piercings and the tattoos. Either way, they're doing something that is a reaction to something. None of it is sort of organic or down the middle, so to speak. I'm not saying down the middle, but I mean, it's like...
They wouldn't act that way if it was what prompted.
Yeah.
Right. So on one hand, something happens to you, which is your mom takes you to an audition for Who's the Boss. And then...
Just say, for example.
And then you have to act this way for years. And then at some point, something festers. And now you act this way for the rest of your life or a number of years. Or at some point, sometimes the stuff wears off. There's a gay version of this where it's like you're in the closet, your dad's sending you to military school, you're this, that. And then you come out of the closet. Now you're like militant out of the closet and huge out of the closet. Nothing's organic. Everything's just a reaction to one and then a swing back to the reaction to the other. It's basically you are at the driving range of life. You've teed up a golf ball. Your dad has gotten behind you and is shouting instructions in your ear, and you hit your first one and the ball just pulls hard to the right. And now you go, screw it, I'm overcompensating, and you drive the other one far to the left. You never just relax with the swing and down the middle. So in a way, your whole life is a reaction to something, and in a way, it's always tormented because the woman who's acting out frequently and sexually trying to gain the approval of every man is compensating for the molestation, whatever. And then later on, when you completely go dormant and you shut down sexually and been celibate for 10 years, that's just another reaction that's not organic that you don't want. So everyone's going to have a little bit of input from their childhood. I mean, some input. Of
course.
And that input is going to get you to push against this or pull against that or whatever that is. But you should try to hope that doesn't completely direct your life. That doesn't become you.
Yeah.
Or leads to bad choices.
Yeah,
obviously.
ultimately, it's not you. It's your reaction to something. So you don't get to live a full three-dimensional.
I think we feel that way about like kids that are growing up in polygamous families or like Jehovah's Witnesses or Jim Jones's cult. Like, but you don't want that kid to have that life their whole life, right? You want them to kind of find their own way.
Sure.
And, okay.
Of course.
I look at it. I look at all things that way. Megan?
Yes.
Thank you for holding on. Is it Cloherty?
It is.
I think I'm putting an R in there for some reason. But the podcast, 22 Hours, An American Nightmare, you created this, or co-creator of it, and you voice it over as well. It's a true crime podcast. It's from WTOP.
We're in Washington, D.C., yeah.
It's amazing what a huge market true crime has turned out to be, and I blame, or I shouldn't say blame, but I attribute it to women. I think women are attracted to this market. Is that a safe statement?
I think, it's funny. I had no idea. I was one of the few women apparently who'd never listened to true crime. I'm a crime reporter as my day job, so I don't know what it says about me if I would go home and then listen to true crime on top of that. But I started covering this case back in 2015 when it happened, and then it just kept growing and growing and growing and unveiling itself as far as the details go. And we were like, gosh, we have to do more with this.
Did you know, just as an aside, as someone who covers true crime, did you know Patton Oswalt's wife?
Michelle McNamara.
No.
Oh, comedian Patton Oswalt. Michelle
McNamara.
Was also,
I think that was her pen name.
True crime, I don't know, devotee and novelist. And
her research helped catch the Golden State Killer.
That's right. And
yes, I didn't know her name, but yes, I've heard of that case, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so she was passed very tragically a few years ago, but she was also that. It just popped into my head. Is this, to me, the crimes that make no sense are the ones that are most haunting to me. Like the robberies where someone gets killed in the act of the robbery, I don't like, but at least there's something there. The ones where people are just killed for the sake of being killed or killed over next to nothing are the ones that I find haunting. But what's the definition of a true crime?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think I don't understand the idea to search out the crimes. I mean, if there's something that captivated your community or something, that makes sense to me. Like to have those questions. Like with this story, we don't even know that the killer planned this thing. There was no evidence. He'd looked on his cell phone, even for the address of the house where this happened. I mean, he takes 3 adults and a 10-year-old hostage, holds them hostage for 22 hours, eventually kills them, sets the house on fire, and the motive apparently was 40 grand, getting 40, and $40,000 is a lot of money to some people, but to kill a 10-year-old for that amount of money, like there's so much about this case that didn't add up, and we were hoping when we were in trial, it was a 6-week trial, we were hoping it would they'd answer some questions, but we said so many, we thought we'd, expand on it and kind of lay it out for the listener, if you will.
Was the killer a former employee of the victim?
He was a former employee, of the dad, but he had lost his job because he didn't come to work 10 years earlier.
Holds a grudge.
And so,
I mean, yeah.
Then could it have been a coincidence that he stumbled across this house, or did he know the house and who lived in the house?
We don't have any evidence he knew who lived in the house. I mean, I guess he could have had access to some kind of company file 10 years earlier, but this guy was a welder, so he wouldn't really have ever been in the office. You know what I mean? It was kind of one of those church and state situations where the actual floor was so far away. He'd fallen on hard times. He was engaged and he couldn't afford a ring. He had he needed to get a new green card. He was in the country legally, but
Dodged a bullet.
he needed to pay for that. So, but I mean, nothing that would warrant obviously anything this horrible.
Yeah, well, obviously nothing warrants that. First off, I told you welders and guys who work with metal are the
Should've
worst.
listened.
They're the
Yeah.
worst
We
goddamn
should've
people on the
listened.
goddamn planet. I've told everyone that a million times. People think I'm kidding. Welders are the worst. You tell me the job, and I will rank them.
I'd
and
like
I
to
will
hear that.
tell you on a job site who the worst is. The welders are the worst.
Like most cantankerous or toxic metal levels?
The people you'd least like to watch your kids. Roofers are second. By the time you get to this serious finish carpentry guys, like the guys who are making the oak stair railings and stuff, those guys you'd have read Dr. Seuss books to your kids while you were out of town for a week. But the welders are the worst. By the way, couldn't he make his own ring? I feel
I was going to say, if there's one
Smelt.
thing.
Adam, if
That
you,
is a question I've never been asked. That's a good question.
Sorry.
Adam,
Chris.
if you Google why are welders and predicts the rest of it, what it's going to say, it's why are welders important, why are they so expensive, and then why are welders arrogant?
Wow.
They're weird, mean, arrogant, and they're bad dudes. I've worked with a lot of them.
Murderers.
I don't like any of them. Where was this guy from, Megan?
He was from Guyana. He came over to the U.S. when he was 19 or 20 and was here with his whole family, though. I mean, that's the other thing. This guy wasn't a recluse who was planning, the next mass murder. It was he was at the gym every day. He was looking for work. I mean, obviously something changed and he had some kind of break there, but with no evidence of any mental health issues. I mean, there's just so many questions. It's one of those, like you said, the more questions, it just kind of nags you.
Right.
I don't want to give anything away, so by all means, don't answer this. But the DNA in this case is bizarre and kind of hilarious. Just because
No,
we don't
completely.
we don't
I mean,
get
that's
the very
kind of how people, I think, remember this case.
Are we
His
allowed to
DNA
talk
was
about
pulled
that?
off a piece of pizza.
right a pizza crust in between torturings.
It survived the fires?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, they pulled it off of the crust of a Domino's pizza while they were being held hostage. Prosecutors say he forced the mom in this to call Domino's Pizza in D.C., get 2, cheese and a pepperoni and a bottle of Sprite delivered to the house. We actually think that's when the crime went south because he opens the door to pick up the pizza and the motion detector signaled the camera to go on.
Oh.
And we think that's the moment where he realized, oh crap, now I'm on camera. But they say he poured gas all over the place, and a guy who was driving by the house ended up seeing it probably earlier than the killer thought they could get a handle on the fire, and the pizza didn't burn.
Damn.
How did he kill everybody?
Beatings and stabbings for the most part.
Ugh. And what did the family do? I mean, were they affluent? What was their...
Very, yeah. Actually, and that's the other thing. This happened a couple blocks away from the vice president's residence, very upscale neighborhood in D.C., $4 million house. There was a, sports car in the garage. But by all accounts, his family, couldn't have been nicer. It's funny, the ripple effect these crimes have. You hear from people who went to college with the guy, years and years and years ago, and had nothing but nice things to say. But he was the CEO of American Iron Works, a company out here, which is why Darren Wint, the killer, worked for him as a welder. She was a housewife, and actually, the housekeeper who they had at the house, who was supposed to leave at 3 o'clock and never got the chance that day, was also taken hostage and killed.
Oh, that was a third adult.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Did they? And then what was he sentenced to? And do they? I guess they don't have the. Was it Maryland or where was it?
It's D.C. Yeah, they don't have capital punishment here. So he got 4 life sentences. So if he actually outlives his second life sentence, he has 2 more. But I mean, it's he got 4, 1 for each killing, and he's appealing it.
What? How old is the killer?
He is 34.
Let's just talk sort of globally here. I like in a world we were discussing so many years ago, as I recall, somebody suggested, why don't we get DNA samples from everyone who's on death row, and then we'll have a database, and we might be able to clear up some of these other unsolved cases that are on the books, or possibly exonerate the folks from there. And then, of course, because they're heroes, the ACLU swept in and said, no, you can't do that. And then somehow we didn't do it. But that was many years ago. And there used to be a lot of thoughts about privacy and records and data.
We're past that.
Now we kind of realize that every kid is something the size of a hockey puck in the room that's listening to them beat off every night. And so everything's just on the web. Everyone's information is everywhere. Everyone's been doxxed. Everybody's everything is everywhere. Are we just at the point now where we could just get a little DNA swab of everyone born or everyone who exists and just go, look, if there's a crime, there's going to be some DNA? And I know we have this thought about our evil overlords framing us, but I don't know. Could you frame someone else for this murder other than this guy?
Probably exonerate more people you would frame.
I would assume, but where do you come down on that, Megan? Just a database.
Well, what's crazy is this whole DNA thing. First of all, we have a criminologist who's like, DNA is not the end-all, be-all. For a while, DNA, wasn't really, it was kind of like crack science. I think maybe back in the 80s or something, they couldn't necessarily say it was you. And then it became, as our technology got better, it was like, well, if your DNA's on it, it has to be you. And they had somebody testify who was like, if I shook your hand, Adam, and then I went and touched whatever, like the mouse of my keyboard, I could have your DNA on my hand and have it be on the mouse. Mm-hmm. So in this killing, the guy who's convicted is 4 quadruple murders. He gets up there and he says, it wasn't me, it was my 2 younger brothers.
Right.
So not only do you have the family, who lost 3 loved ones and they're just grieving, and there's one side of the courtroom. The other side of the courtroom, this guy's saying, that family is falling apart.
Right.
And people are testifying against him because essentially you can have there's different types of DNA. So he essentially had to put his brothers in this house based on the DNA they found on him.
So is there something better than DNA?
I mean, nuclear DNA is better than mitochondrial DNA. How scientific do you want me to get?
Well,
I didn't know this, but apparently, I have the same hair DNA as all of my siblings.
Right. So, okay. So let's just say somebody's dead, and we can narrow it down to either the Osmonds or the Jacksons.
Some singing family.
Yeah, or the Kardashians or something. All right, so now we've gone from a nation of 320 million people down to 4 people or 3 people. Now we can probably
somewhere.
sort it out between the 3 of them because one of them lives in Alaska. We probably figure it out. So I'm just saying, I don't know what everyone's thinking about their civil liberties, but my feeling is it's out the window.
Right.
Everyone knows everything all the time. If they want to find out, they're going to find out. So every single cop car has a computer in it, and when they pull you over, they run your license, and then that tells them everything they need to know about you.
Whether you want to or not.
That's the world we're living in. So let's just take it a step further, have a database of DNA, and have everyone linked up with that. And that'll be, and again, it'll help. If you're innocent, it's going to be a help.
Right. The righteous have nothing to fear.
Yes.
Well, and you know what else doesn't help you is your cell phone. I mean, half the evidence in this thing was like, where was your cell phone pinging off of when you were getting a text or when you were making a call or wherever? So if your DNA doesn't get you,
that's a big
your
one.
cell phone
That's
will.
a big one now, right? What cell towers pinging were you were you where you say you were, because they are so specific with those cell towers.
Yeah,
Right.
I remember talking to Mark Garrigus about Scott Peterson and about him wanting to get the records for the cell phone carriers to like triangulate the phone and blah, 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 and they wouldn't do it. That was then.
Okay.
I mean, that was, I don't know, was it 15 years
Okay.
ago? More?
Mid-90s,
I
right?
mean, it's a while ago. We're now at the point where they will, I guess. My point is, all bets are off. Let's just dive headfirst into technology. You know,
Embrace it.
we like to wade into it like a little bit at a time, like a cold pool. You know, we'll just put our tootsies in, feel that around. I'm just saying, let's dive in. There's a camera everywhere. Everyone's got a cell phone on them. DNA, whatever. Let's just all
it's on.
dive in, and we'll know where you are. We'll know when you are, and if you're paying your taxes and you're not stabbing anybody, you probably will be left alone.
Well, not just that, you'd pray to have the DNA of everybody so that you're like, no, I'm going to match mine against the DNA found at the crime scene. It's not going to match.
Right, unless there's some nefarious government that wants to lock up taxpayers for no reason. I don't think they're that way. I hate the government, but I don't think they want to do that. They don't want to take earners off the street, so to speak. Megan?
or pay for them to be in jail.
Yeah, that's the government treats us like the mafia treats earners. They want us on the street stealing cartons of cigarettes and selling them out of the back of a truck, not pulling earners off. I'm a good earner for the government, taking all my tax revenue away and putting me somewhere that costs them 60 grand.
Where you could put your feet up for a while.
Yeah, it's not what they want from me. Megan,
Thoughts?
thoughts?
So as long as you don't commit a crime, you're good, I guess.
Well, kind of feel that way. The podcast is 22 Hours, an American Nightmare, and it's a true crime podcast from WTOP, and you can get it at Apple Podcasts, and you get a Podcast One as well, yes, I'm guessing?
Yes.
That's right.
Thanks, Megan. We'll be
Thank you.
listening. I appreciate it. All right. Why don't we... Oh, let me hit MedMen, and then we'll take a little break. And Dr. Spaz, Dr. Bruce will be in here next. MedMen, the new normal is here. Have you seen it? Brought to you and through a little short film that only runs 2 minutes long. The new normal seeks to leave behind 80 years of unjust prohibition in favor of a safer, happier world. It depicts a product that once drove good people to the black market. Now it's creating a global market. The new era is here, and you can watch this dandy little 2-minute film, just 120 seconds. And it's really well done, and it's really well crafted, and I think you'll enjoy it. And you should go to medmen.com. Watch it now. Experience the new normal at medmen.com. It's done by Spike Jones, and you can tell it's done by someone who knows what they're doing at MedMen. That's medmen.com. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Dr. Bruce right after this.
presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Stafford, Virginia. A 43-year-old woman was arrested at Mr. B's Market and Deli and charged with public intoxication. Animal control officers were called because the woman was carrying a suitcase full of cats. Definitely not a Jew.
Well, if you do cats with a K,
That's right.
maybe. Dr. Bruce, a.k.a. Dr. Spaz, in studio. He's an emergency medicine and addiction medicine specialist. As I've said, a better doctor than Dr. Drew.
Yeah, but then you told me I'm not smarter. Then that offended me. Hurt my feelings. I'm more codependent.
Good lenses, bad frames.
Thank you very much. It's
There
in
you
the
go.
Urban Dictionary.
But he's gelled up
He's looking sharp
and
today.
looking
it was
sharp.
Sunday best.
I thought I might get less abuse if I looked more professional.
We'll see.
He
time.
went back. Brian's doing a doc, and so he sat in and was on camera. So it's a camera ready, Dr. Bruce.
Thank you, Dr. Bruce.
You're
for
welcome.
doing
It's-
that.
Hey,
First,
high honor.
your son Joey's out there killing it in the meme world. Or what's going on with that boy?
Well, he's a pain in the ass, basically.
Sure,
He doesn't-
sure.
if I ask him a question, Dad, old people don't understand, Dad, leave me alone. I got
old-
great ideas.
How old is he?
He's 19.
He's 19, and he's just become like an independent millionaire.
Oh, he's not a millionaire. Please, he buys more vintage guitars than I have hairs on my head. He spends all. He's very careful. He's I'm half Jew,
Hold
but
on,
he got.
you can't answer. He's not a millionaire, and then he buys a lot of vintage guitars.
I think Bruce is concerned with his liquid assets.
Yeah, exactly. Is he liquid?
Oh,
Hey, he totaled the M3, by the way.
oh, really?
He could have been a millionaire.
Going
That
15
sounds like
miles an
millionaire
hour.
behavior.
I told him when the rain starts, it's slippery. Don't put it in M mode and step on the gas.
And he did.
Dad.
So, but,
15 miles
but
an hour,
the point
crack
is
the
your boy's been like out on the computer, like doing his own thing. How many followers? What does he have? Instagram followers?
11 million. He's got
11 million.
meme.ig. He does take great relish in telling me he has a profession. It's called social influencer.
Yeah, that's right.
And he has 11 million
In his case,
Instagram followers.
Let me give you an anecdote. So
Does he make memes?
He does. He tells me he does the minimal number because he had this other name and they sold that and started the meme IG because they thought it was a good business move. And there's some rather not pornographic, but rather sort of racy memes on there. And so he blocks me every time I mention something. I
yeah.
go, Joey, I saw that. Okay, Dad. Then I'm blocked.
Well, I just tried to
punished.
follow him, and you have to request to be accepted. It's not open for everybody.
They've
Gen X
approved 11
psychology
million
there.
people?
You're going to want to be there. Yeah, Trump's son's on there. And, he goes through the names and he'll tell me, yeah, Dad, well, look at But he's a...
That's an entrepreneur.
So when
I
he was
don't
in-
know. See, I don't know how. I was talking to my son today in the kitchen with another fella, and it's like, I don't know, how hard can you push education these days? Like, how can you can you sit there and go, you better study, or you're going to be digging ditches,
Right.
you'll be out on the street? Like, really? Because I do a podcast.
Or I could just open this unboxing video full of Sephora makeup and show it to you.
Right.
Sonny's quite amazing. I've had long talks with him. Now I'm also indoctrinating him into the medical field. He's going to be a physician, by the way, Adam. He has an encyclopedic knowledge of sports.
That's
I made the
true.
mistake of bringing up the New York Knicks, and he gave me the not the batting percentage, but whatever the hell it is that basketball players do. He knows statistics and
There's a movie, and Max Pata, I don't know if you can find it, but in the movie Love and Death with Woody Allen, I think Diane, what's her name?
Wiest?
Keaton.
Keaton. I think Diane Keaton is the love interest, and I think she's married to a herring merchant. And
Sounds like a Woody Allen movie.
the herring merchant, long before Forrest Gump and Bubba Gump and the shrimp, the herring merchant is like the majestic herring takes to the sea and blah, blah, blah. And every time you see him, he's talking about herring.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a stupid running
popcorn shrimp,
joke.
yeah, the whole-
It's Bubba Gump, but
Right.
with herring. It's with shrimp, but with herring, and also from 69 versus 96 or whatever, 94, whatever. Sonny's, if you're coming up the stairs, you'll hear Sonny in the kitchen talking to Olga. At Olga about Kyrie Irving or
Kawhi Leonard.
And how he almost had a triple-double. Like, as you're driving, and she's just going, and she's like unloading the dishwasher, and he's just standing there bouncing stats off her ass. Can you find any Love and Death clips on?
We're looking.
All right. So that's where we're living. Now, that didn't exist when we were kids, because when we were kids, our dad would have went, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to fuck my secretary, and I can't concentrate. So go light me another cigarette and get the fuck out of my office.
No, my dad
But
would
now
say-
we have to pretend to listen.
My dad would say, I tell him, my Yankees, I'm a great Yankees fan, there's no money in my pocket, those professional athletes. And that's as far as I
And
get
then
with any sports.
He'd walk out of the room.
Yeah. Right.
We have to sit there and pretend to be their best friend. So we have to listen. And then Olga gets paid to listen. She has to just sit and pretend to listen because she's on the clock.
Don't you think your son listening to you and your rants, he's got like flow of ideas coming out constantly. When I'm talking to him, I'm sitting there, it's like I'm talking to Adam Jr. in a different vein.
He does.
He does go.
He does not like to waste time. Time is also an interesting. It's interesting that people. It's thing that people are pretty casual with when they don't like. And they don't have the right relationship with time. Like, I was sitting in the dentist's office today, and at some point, I was like a consultation, and at some point the dentist said, I'm going to leave, and then I'll have my assistant come in, and they will schedule the appointment. And I said, okay, but the assistant can just talk to my assistant. They'll schedule the appointment. And he went like, yeah, okay, just wait here until she comes in. And I said, oh, okay, but
You're not hearing me.
I don't know what my schedule is, but my assistant knows, and they know my assistant, so just tell her, call my assistant, we'll get it on the schedule. Okay, she'll be here in a minute. And I go like, look, I'm not trying to be rude. Are you in a hurry? And my answer is like, I'm always in a hurry not to waste a fucking time. Like, I'm not catching a plane, but I am in a hurry technically. If I'm sitting here doing nothing for 15 minutes, then we should all be sort of in a hurry versus nothing. So I'm like, if you need me to sit here and wait for the person, I can, but I won't be able to answer any questions as it pertains to my calendar. But they know my assistant. They'll get it on the calendar like they've done 5 times in the past. And I'm not. And then there's a weird thing where they like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you in a hurry? And it's like, no, it's just I'm in Pasadena sitting in your office in the middle of the day, and I do have shit to do, but I'm not in a hurry. But I don't want to go any faster, and we need to go, but I'd like to go.
Right.
But where else but the healthcare field do people put up with being kept waiting without as much complaint? And it's almost like you're holding the sword of Damocles over them. If you complain, maybe you'll be kept waiting an extra hour.
Right.
Yeah, I have to complain or say to people all the time, I don't want to do something you don't want to do, but also don't want to do something that's unnecessary.
Right.
And Matt has all my... I can't tell you how many times I have the conversation... I have it with the notary public in the next room where they go like, what is your LLC? What is your loan out corp name? And I'll go, my assistant Matt has everything you need. And what's the address for the LLC?
Same
assistant
answer.
Matt has everything, all the information you need. He'll be able to fill it in. I'll just sign everything, then he'll fill it in. Okay, so the LLC, and I'll go, excuse me, I don't know if you're not hearing me. Matt has all the information. And they go, well, okay, you don't have to raise your voice. I'm like, I'm telling you, let's get it. Let's move it. Let's move it along. We don't need to go over everything 3 times. What is that? Why does that make me an asshole? I'm actually trying to speed your life up. Sorry, it's become cathartic. It's weird. We're gonna die soon. Why do we have? Why are we wasting so much time? Why is everyone
Dr.
having the
Bruce.
same conversation 9 times?
I think that's a rhetorical question.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Not back to the boy for a second. I'm not trying to diagnose anyone with anything, so it's a question for the doctor. Isn't that a signature like Asperger's thing, like zeroing in
you
on one
brought up-
subject, but like with it like a remarkable intensity and like not being able to tell when other people aren't interested?
So you're saying my son's on the spectrum is what you're saying?
I'm asking. I'm
Well,
only asking.
let me ask you another. Is Adam on the spectrum?
From zero to Rain Man, where are we at?
Oh, well, you know what? What's given me great solace is that he does have friends, and he hangs out with the friends, doesn't let me meet them.
Your son.
So he does have social skills with other kids, but with me and with other adults.
I'm talking about Sonny.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my son. I don't know. Sonny's not on the spectrum. Are you out of your mind?
All right.
This guy maybe.
Chris, put up the thing I found on WebMD.
As long as one has a bunch of friends, I feel like that's all. All I need to know about a male or a female is if they have friends, mostly of the same sex. If they have a bunch of friends, I know that person's hangable.
Socially adjusted.
All right. So read it, Brian.
I like
If
the
your
rocks
child
part.
has this condition, he may talk about himself most of the time and zero in with a lot of intensity on a single subject, like rocks or football stats. And he might repeat himself a lot, especially on a topic that he's interested in. So every time you go up the stairs, he's repeating football stats.
That's right. A lot of basketball,
I
but
know.
depending on what season.
I
it is.
got it.
All right. It's really, he's enabled by adults listening. Adults never listened. Nobody. My adult age friends come in and they listen their ass off when Sonny's talking. None of my dad's friends would ever listen to you.
No.
Adults didn't listen to
No
you.
one ever said, "Tell me more."
Yes.
Yeah, but-
Now we have to.
Yeah.
But we're ruining kids. Sorry.
Okay.
So, Doctor, I'm looking at your. You got the herring merchant clip from 1971.
Wow.
So
Wow.
picture this as my son, but he's talking about the NBA and stats.
Globally, the war affects the herring industry. The ports are blockaded, and fresh shipments of the herring become more difficult to obtain. And of
Falling
course,
asleep.
when something hurts herring, it hurts me. You see, what people don't understand is that there are hundreds of types of herring, each with its own interesting history. Sonia, are you okay?
She's nodding off.
Oh, yes.
But I've talked long enough. Why don't you two play, as I have got some important business to attend to?
That's a little idea. Yes, he talks about basketball like that guy talked about herring.
Poor Olga.
And Olga wants to fall asleep. So, Bruce, I got some topics. Let's see. Number one, Bruce is offended by the AOC concentration camp remark about the border, and
Well,
you're
listen.
doing some work over there.
No, I'm not doing work there. I woke up this morning to hear that Trump's Hitler.
He works hard to keep his Honda full of gas. With jail in his hair, he's not too bad. He's got good lenses, but real bad frames. Some call him Bruce, but there's another name. We call him Dr. Spaz. We call him Dr. Spaz. He'll put a finger up your ass.
The abuse I get here is like treating
I
an
know.
obnoxious patient in the ER. There's a good feeling, but you're getting
Yeah.
abuse.
Go on, Bruce.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, no, I woke up. So, Heischober should be Huschober. I have kin that were burned in the ovens, and my mother's Norwegian. Very high per capita rate of Nazi abuse in the ovens. Anyway, so I woke up hearing her talking about the prison. These things are like Nazi prison camps. And Trump's like
AOC.
Hitler. Who cares? I mean, I don't care about Trump. I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for anybody. I'm not political. But this C word is insulting.
AOC word.
Yeah,
AOC
AOC
word.
word, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, basically,
Sorry.
and you can't say what I see in the ER. Again, I'm just one little ER doctor, and all the politically correct people probably take my sports certification away. But you're seeing people one shift, 2 new cases of tuberculosis. I asked one person about their immunization record, didn't speak English, and I said, "Did you get this in a certain foreign country?" I got reported for trying. They said the nurse who was of that same ethnic origin said I was trying to find out if they were legal or illegal. I had another case where somebody had a form of medication that's not made in the United States. 5 milligrams is 10 milligrams. That's 7.5. I said, "Gee, this isn't made here. Did you get this in this other country?" And the husband almost assaulted me, etc. So I'm saying there's
You
a lot of
gotta
stuff
know,
going
you're-
on. It's like, and the number of people that are coming from, that are released from these prison camps getting great medical care. I know out in San Bernardino, Temecula, Riverside County, they're being brought there. Nobody, I mean, when I treat somebody, I don't know what I don't care. but to imply that I'm the Mangala, one of the Mangalas of medicine, and that, so when I heard this today, it was like, by implication, we're part of a system that's as evil as Nazi Germany. It's an insult to anybody that, whether you're Jewish or not or have Jewish blood. It's just the whole thing has gotten so out of hand. I'm enraged.
Well, what we've lost in our world and our weird upside down cuckoo fucking clock world is there is a big difference. Forget about the facility. Forget about whatever's going on at the facility. Germans went out and rounded up Jews and brought them back to be put in ovens. The Jews didn't wander into the camps and try to hop the fucking fence to get into the fucking camps, you nuts. So if you just started at the very beginning of the beginning of the beginning, it's cuckoo land. People are trying to get into this country. No one is going out and rounding them up. They're attempting to get into this country. The notion is, yes, they're attempting to get into this country. Of course they're attempting to get in this country. Their country is shit. Their country is falling apart. Their country's a narco state. Whatever it is, it doesn't work. So yes, everybody from around the world, or many people from around the world, are going to be attempting to get into this country by any means necessary. Then comes part two. What are you doing? Okay, well, some countries would set up a machine gun nest and just start opening fire. Other countries would set up tents or temporary housing or put doctors or try to put facilities down at the border, do whatever. Our country, for the most part, attempts. I'll put it to you this way. If I was going to try to flee somewhere, this country would be toward the top of my list of places to flee. Are we perfect? No. I don't know where the yardstick is to measure perfect historically. I don't know who has enough doctors, who has enough who has enough therapists, who has enough air-conditioned rooms, who has enough basketball courts and rec centers. Like, what country could handle a large influx of people coming its direction at its southern border in the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, and make sure that every single one of those things was processed correctly, that no mother was ever legitimately separated, when you have no idea whose kid is whose kid and whose dad is whose dad and whose mom is whose mom, and you do the best you can.
Well, and
by the way, doing the best you can means there's going to be flaws. Things are going to happen. Shit is going to happen. But in terms of medical attention, in terms of being processed in a just way, in terms of accommodations, this country does as good as any other country does, or better. So, by the way, AOC, I'm all fucking ears. If you have a plan, I'm all fucking ears. You never have a plan. Your plan is to call everyone Hitler.
Yeah, and so when there's medical misinformation going out too, and it's. I mean, I'm sure, Adam, you've heard this report that the mayor of LA is listed the 6 most common causes or prominent causes of homelessness.
Oh,
and opiate addiction is not listed. 50.
We have this. I want to. At a certain point, he's got to be brought up on like some sort of fiduciary charge where he's just not doing his job. Like, people are,
of duty.
Yeah, people are dying, and he has no idea. I mean, his website, somebody like tweeted me, has like, here are the reasons for homelessness.
LAmayor.org.
Yeah. Okay, so wait, we have the AOC clip that Bruce was listening
I have to listen to it again.
But then we'll play Garcetti's clip.
I'm going to be triggered.
Or we'll read it. Sorry.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps, and
exactly, it's exactly what they are.
If that doesn't bother you, we can have, okay, whatever. I want to talk to the people that are concerned enough with humanity to say that we should not, that never again means something.
Oh, Jesus fucking
you believe
Christ. What the fuck is going on? Yes, it's exactly what it is. We're running concentration camps, except for it's nothing like a concentration camp. So here's what you do. You say, we're running concentration camps, or you say whatever, and then you pause and you go, that's exactly what you're doing. So now we've signed off on that premise. And then if you don't want to do something about it, well, guess what? You're just you're goose-stepping Nazi.
Yeah.
It minimizes
Fuck
minimizes the experience of people in actual context.
Well, you know what?
If anyone was scared, by the way, nobody's scared of Jews. Jews have no intersectional Jews.
Get that drop, please, Brian.
I was gonna say.
Nobody's scared of you. No. Listen. Here's the pecking order of people we're scared of. Black people, gay, black, gay, black. That's who we're scared of.
Gay, black, Jews.
Hispanic, gay, black, Jew. Look, politicians are scared shitless of the black community. They're scared shitless of the gay community, and it just goes down from there. They're not scared of the Jewish community. The Jewish community doesn't really do anything. They don't rise up. They don't have a voice. They don't whatever. They're not worried. You couldn't do this with slavery or many other atrocities committed to the black community. You cannot just go ahead and reenact those or call this is no different than whatever. They wouldn't put up with it. They'd be outraged by it. The Jews never are outraged, and the Jews politically are kind of on her side, so you have to kind of break ranks with your own side. So she's fucking insane. She should apologize. This thing where she has to go like, I'm not talking about those concentration camps. You said never again. That's concentration camp. Okay, it's nothing like that. By the way, that makes this country evil. It makes us, if we set up concentration camps on borders, then we're an evil country. But anyway, she's a fucking nut, and no one should ever fucking listen to her. But this is what you would do if you wanted no one to ever listen to you again. You would say insane things like this. But go ahead, Bruce, sorry.
Next topic. What if there were an opiate that didn't stop your breathing, didn't give you euphoria, didn't make you constipated, didn't suppress your immune system, didn't suppress your testosterone? And
what's the point?
what if that existed? Well,
okay, yeah.
opiate epidemic. Everybody needs to be off
Meaning
opiates.
if you took this opiate, you wouldn't want to take other opiates.
Which is what's a rhetorical question. There isn't such an opiate called buprenorphine, which is what's in Suboxone, which is what's used for opiate addicts as a medication-assisted treatment. You take methadone, Suboxone, or the naltrexone blocker in a shot, works real well once a month, Vivitrol. The problem is, so I'm on a bandwagon. I'm very angry about this. And I say stupid doctors very respectfully and very in parentheses. But this opiate is available. It's been available since 1980. It's extraordinarily safe. As a single agent, in other words, if you're not taking it with Xanax or drinking with it, you could inject it IV, hundreds of milligrams, and you wouldn't die. Okay, 200 milligrams of oxycodone will kill 50% of the people you give it to, the LD50. This stuff is extraordinarily safe. But because it's used in Suboxone for addicts to suppress craving, it is seen by most doctors will say, oh, is it an opiate? Yeah, just another opiate. So it's very interesting. So there is so when I get a patient, now a lot of people do have chronic pain. They have, they're on opiates, they're on their 6 Norco a day, or they're on more than the 90 morphine equivalents a day. Doctors now are so scared they're just cutting them off. They're detoxing them over a week and saying good luck with the Motrin and Tylenol. And a lot of people are suicidal. There are people that do need opiates, and they need it at higher than the cutoff level that the CDC's recommended.
So the Suboxone still gives you pain management.
It's great. It's a fantastic pain medication. And those of you out there, there's a guy named Dr. Corey Waller, Waller, and he's got a great video. If you have a loved one that was on opiates and was inappropriately, these were discontinued, take a look at that and look at this medication for pain. Even for addiction, there are a lot of people. There's a huge schism in the recovery community, and Drew and I have some disagreements on that, saying, nope, just another opiate, giving an opiate to an addict. Eventually, if they take it to suppress their craving, they're just going to relapse again, which again, there's some constraints. You need to help somebody with structure, but using methadone or Suboxone really, really does work. If you take somebody off opiates and you put them out to a 12-step program, that's all they do. The recovery,
relapse
90% within a year, essentially. If you put them on Suboxone, methadone, or Vivitrol, it's 60 to 70%.
What percentage of the homeless population you think is not on something?
So they estimate in LA 50% of the homeless have an opiate addiction, and
Just
they don't even
opiates.
list it as a.
We'll get into that, but that's 50%, and I feel like the other 49.5% are drinking or doing something.
But just opiates alone.
What
wild.
percentage? I mean, here's a question to ask if you think about it. Now, I've interviewed on Take a Knee a guy who was homeless, and he was homeless in Seattle and I think Arizona, Vegas, L.A., blah blah blah. I just said to him, what percentage of people aren't getting messed up like every night? And he said, none. I mean, some people drink, but everyone does something. I mean, that's so. Let's just think as a normal thinking person, because statistics are now out the window with everything because everyone's spinning everything all the time. What percentage of people living on the street go a week without ingesting something that alters them?
Same percentage of people at a rave that aren't on ecstasy.
Right. Like who does just, I don't have a drink. I'm just homeless. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm just a homeless person. I don't take drugs. I don't drink. I don't eat pot brownies. I'm a poor person who needs a job. I'm not working. So the percentage of folks living on the street who do not ingest some mind-altering something, could be anything, and do a week of living on the street with that. You say 0. I'll be generous and say 3%, but that leaves everybody else. So our mayor has a list of the top 6 things that lead people to living on the street in Los Angeles. By the way, in terms of somebody who's trying to solve a problem, like when you have a situation where you're having a problem with a piece of commercial aircraft or something, you have to really laser focus in on what's going on. Is it something with the computer? Is it something with the control surfaces? Is it something, what black box? There's a black box. There's millions of black boxes in a plane. We got to pull one of them. We got to break it down, and we have to fix what's going on with this plane. That's the way you get to the bottom of a problem, but we'll see if Garcetti has any thoughts on. This is from his website. This is the top 6 problems of what causes homelessness in Los Angeles.
Non-negotiable top 6 problems.
Oh.
Stagnant wages.
Jesus fuck.
Housing shortage.
Stagnant wages.
So if people got paid more,
they wouldn't be sleeping
less
on the
homeless.
sidewalk.
Yep.
Why don't you just give them a stipend of $1,000 a month? That'll help the drug abuse.
it's insulting.
Yeah,
Housing shortage.
Housing shortage.
Cuts to mental health care.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Domestic and sexual abuse.
I don't know what percentage of those people are out because they're being. I mean, what part were living in a intact family and now did that? But okay.
Challenges with the implementation of criminal justice reform.
That's a
The
stretch.
fuck does that mean?
A stretch.
Well, you want me to read a little bit of that one?
Sure.
California voters passed sweeping criminal justice reforms on the promise that people being released from incarceration would be met on the outside with services and opportunities funded by the savings achieved by reducing the prison population. That promise has not been fulfilled. And then it goes on from there. And finally, lack of resources for veterans.
Okay, but no drugs.
No, it didn't make the list.
It didn't make the top
Mental health.
Isn't that amazing?
6. All right. All right. He's a fucking idiot or a liar or something. I don't. Also, I'm not sure why everything is political.
Well, I was going
or-
to say the same thing. It's
Why does he have to politicize everything? Just people are on the street because they're addicts. So go ahead and own it and fix it. I don't know why
It's
this
the same
is
thing
your
with
fault
medicine.
and that's not your fault.
If you ask a certain question, it's like, I want to know you're immunized. Oh, you're trying to find out if they're illegal. It's like, are you effing kidding me? I want to practice as a physician. I don't care what, Trump but it's gotten to be, talk about Nazi Germany. You're afraid to ask questions. God forbid you might offend someone or.
Stagnant wages. That's number 1. So if you raise the minimum wage, that'll
Problem
get people
solved.
from sleeping their own flop on the fucking sidewalk in a park. Fucking idiot. He's a fucking retarded fuckstick. He drives me nuts. Why are we so stupid? Why is California as stupid as we are? And you know what? I'd have thought about this, especially after going to Colorado. that place is great.
Oh, please.
You know, I thought, people are coming here. They're stopping them at the Mexican border. They're coming from Africa. Now, they're coming from everywhere to come here. And I thought that is kind of the natural plight or natural state of man. We go, where are we? What's better than here? And how can we get there? And we do sit around. And so if you're in Guatemala or you're in parts of Africa or wherever, you go, what's better than here? Because we got a bunch of drug lords here or narco state or whatever, and poverty and disease. And you go, well, we should go to the United States. And you go, okay, that's a good idea. And so they come to the United States. But if you think about that, that's an extreme version. That's a survival version. But every human has that built into their brain. And that's why guys like Dr. Drew and Mark Garagos and Adam Carolla and Dr. Spaz are in California, which is in the United States, and we're going, maybe Tennessee'd be a good place to live because we have a lesser version. We have a non-desperate version of that, but everyone has that in their DNA.
How to get even better.
That's why a U-Haul going from L.A. to Texas is like $1,600, or from Texas back to L.A. is like
free.
It's like free.
They'll pay you.
Right. So it's like I never really thought about, but we always talk about the people trying to get in this country. People trying to get in this country. People trying to get in this country. They want a better life. They want a better life. People in this country want a better life too, and the people who live in California are thinking the same way the person thinking in Guatemala is doing, except for we can do it legally.
Yeah.
We don't have to hire a coyote.
I was up in Northern California last week, and I see this guy's got a truck support the state of Jefferson, I think it is, and they want to split off and have an independent. I mean, there's all kinds of movements and he told me there's 23 states with movements to split parts of the state off from the state that they're currently in.
California's looking at that.
Three regions in California.
Yeah.
All right, let me hit Castrol Edge, man. If you're gonna hook up that U-Haul to your wagon, you need good lubrication. Castrol Edge. Hashtag Castrol Challenge with your questions at Castrol Challenge. Brought to you by Castrol Edge. Formulated with fluid titanium technology. Reduces friction, maximizes engine performance. 3 times.
3 times, fool.
Stronger against viscosity breakdown, lean full synthetics. You got a question, Max Pata?
I do. This is from Hot Rods and Stuff on Instagram. He wants to know, hashtag Castrol Challenge. If you could Restomod any old American car, what would you pick?
Well, I've seen an interesting Maverick. I'm picking a weird car. I'm doing it intentionally. Somebody did I think it was a Chevy Maverick, probably like late 60s, early 70s. One of my PE teachers drove one. There was one from SEMA, Maxipata, about 3 years ago where somebody did a Maverick. Who did the Maverick? Was it a Chevy Maverick? Figure it out.
Maverick.
Look,
Ford Maverick.
Ford
a Ford Maverick. I don't know why I thought that sounded wrong. The best car is a 65, 66 Mustang Fastback. But I wanted to get off of that easy road, and I'm going to go Ford Maverick because somebody did like a Restomod at SEMA with a Maverick a few years ago, and they killed it.
Is it this one?
Yeah,
Wow.
is that it? Am I looking at a Maverick?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. It's pretty cool because it's a little smaller, and I like the importer stuff, and it looks cool. Yeah.
This is a Sung Kang from Fast and Furious.
Oh, really? I knew it. I like a little Asian flavor on my Ford hot rods.
That's Han.
All right, I will think that's Han, right?
Yeah.
Is Han back?
I don't know.
Almost
even know
every
the timeline
conversation I have with Chris Morgan is about how we getting Han back.
We got to figure out a way.
Castrol Edge. I want to thank Castrol Edge for that. And we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the news right after this.
News with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
This half of the show brought to you by Tommy John and LifeLock and Geico. What you got?
Well, since we have Dr. Spaz here, we'll get into some medical mysteries. I wonder what your thoughts are on this. More reports coming out of the Dominican Republic, people getting very sick. Apparently, there's the 9th death now of a tourist. He's from New Jersey. He's a New Jersey man. He became the 9th American tourist to die while vacationing in the Dominican Republic. 55-year-old guy found dead in his room at the Carolla resort last Thursday. His friends say he was complaining the night before about not feeling well. He went upstairs to get some sleep. His family says he did not have any pertinent health issues. They're looking for answers. Alan's the latest tourist. I think a few days earlier, a 53-year-old woman from New York died at a resort in Punta Cana. These are all different resorts. And fans of the singer Jimmy Buffett are now added to the list because 2 months ago, and I guess that's why it's coming out now, maybe they didn't think it was news 2 months ago, but now that we're all hearing about this, in April, there was about 100, parrot heads, Buffett fans, that did a big, meet up there.
Right.
And one of them lost 14 pounds due to, and I quote, crippling diarrhea.
Well, if I know Buffett fans, they're now just obese. They went from morbidly obese to just obese.
Yeah. A few of the victims told a similar story. They became very sick. They drank the liquor from the hotel mini bar. But one victim says he didn't, but he did notice a lot of people who were sick were using the swim-up pool, swim-up bar. This was at the Hotel Rio.
They were talking also about all the insecticide and stuff that you must have to spray. Like if you're running some resort there, you just got to spray constantly.
Right.
Well, if there's bootleg liquor and there are containers that had pesticide, but you separate out what are things that kill you quick and what are things that kill you intermediate and slow. So quick is opiate overdose, heavy metal, something like arsenic, or opiates. If you have fentanyl, if there's some opiate in there and you stop breathing spiked or so there's and it depends. Is it coming from the pool area? Is it coming from a bar? But
now that they're kind of discovering that there's this mini bar connection no matter what resort you're at. Adam, you said, I don't know, right when we started reporting this, that there is sort of there is kind of a bootleg liquor trade that I hadn't heard of. I didn't know that was a thing. But they just sent a bad batch.
I'm certain there's everything is bootleg there. That's number one.
My thought now is that you've seen not necessarily bar rescue, but those kind of shows where they'll pour shitty liquor into the nice liquor bottles. We had someone on, who wants to sell this shit, who was selling bottles. Remember, people would buy them. I wonder if there's a thing where it's to save money at these resorts, they're pouring, essentially rubbing alcohol or some equivalent mixed with, mint flavor into the Jägermeister bottle.
Well, but these are not mom and pop. This isn't like you're staying at somebody's house.
They're still being managed.
Giant resorts.
They're still being managed.
Suppliers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bottom line.
All I can fixate on is my new favorite person, talking head on TV, is the person who goes, all these tourists are dying in Dominican, Big Papi, everyone else. I mean, this is a real problem. And then somebody goes, Big Papi was shot in the back. Then that's not part of this. And I go, yeah, I understand, but you got Big Papi, you have all these tourists, and someone just fucking told him, shut up.
Totally
just stop. You're not allowed to bring this up again because he was shot at a bar. That's not part of this. And then they go, I get it.
As I was saying.
He was a great baseball player. and they just do it. It's weird, right? There's more of that in the news these days than any other time I've ever been alive.
By the way, his condition's been upgraded to good.
Oh, good.
So
he's a Mass General now.
Yeah.
Soon he'll be mint
Harvard's teaching hospital.
So that's kind of the thinking now, is that it's these.
Is it nefarious though, or is it accidental? That's the other thing.
And who has to transport Big Papi? That's got to be shit. Like if I'm driving an ambulance and it's like, we got an emergency, I'm like, please let it be kid hit by a moped. Please don't let it be Big Papi.
Not first baseman for the Red Sox.
Please not. You see that guy on the ground after a night of eating and drinking? Like, oh shit.
Bigger Poppy.
Where's that thing we used to get the dolphins out of the tank and put it into the other tank? Like
The net crane.
yeah, like
I'm a big fan. Why do they call you Big Poppy anyway?
We had a lady come in yesterday, came in shortness of breath after trying to do CPR on her cat. So
What?
Really?
She's a hero.
the cat lived.
she had
Unfortunately.
shortness of breath.
She was having chest pain, shortness of breath because she was doing CPR on the cat.
Old, fat, or both?
Old 70.
Makes sense.
Hey, watch it.
Well, that makes sense.
You're triggering me
on
again.
the cat.
How dare you?
Well, again, since we have Dr. Bruce here, New York became the latest state to end religious exemptions for vaccinations,
Yeah.
and that did not sit well with some people. As the bill passed in the state assembly, spectators began yelling at its sponsor, Jeffrey Dinowitz. According to the New York Post, one man in Orthodox Jewish clothing, a lot of Orthodox Jews, by the way, attended this, threatening him. Governor Andrew Cuomo signed the bill into law just hours after its passage. New York has seen an outbreak of measles, and many cases have occurred in the Orthodox Jewish areas in Brooklyn. Some sects forbid vaccination based on an interpretation of the Bible, and I don't know if we have the video ready because
Can we,
we have it, but they
all
are
right.
just hauling off at this guy.
Yeah.
My
your
people.
point.
Yeah.
You know who we're not scared of? Jews.
To appeal religious exemptions to the state school vaccination requirements just passed narrowly.
They're up top.
People in the galleries are
Yeah.
Not happy.
So what's the law? Or what's the thing you're protesting against?
That you're no longer allowed to have a religious exemption for a vaccination.
You have to get vaccinated?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what they're
I
saying.
imagine there's a loophole or two, but there's no. I don't know, Dr. Bruce. You know, you're member of the tribe. If you're going super fundamentalist, like in any religion, you're bound to get things that kind of raise your ears a little bit. In the Orthodox Jewish community, the way certain mohels do brisses,
yeah,
you can
man.
transfer herpes.
Yeah.
You can transfer STDs. I
Here-
mean, this is some stuff that is not from 2019.
Here's the thing. Here's where all right. Everyone join me on Unreasonable Street. I am for your religion if you own a bakery and your religion says man should not marry another man, you do not have to bake a cake for that gay couple. You can and should bake a cake for any gay group who comes in, but if they go, this is for my marriage, and you're devout something, you don't have to, and then the gay couple can go across the street and go to another bakery and they can get a cake and they can have a marriage. I don't need your business shut down if those are your religious beliefs.
And also, we don't need to give you, we or anyone who believes that. I wouldn't want to give you my money if you weren't a fan.
That'll take care of itself. The problem with your kid is your kid can get measles and bring it into the class, and that can affect all the other kids in the class. So then we do need to intervene with that. This, we don't need to intervene because you can go across the street and it's not going to hurt the other kids in the class. So you can say, well, that sounds inconsistent. I think it's super pragmatic. Let people practice as long as they're not affecting other people. This potentially affects other people, and then we have to get involved.
Right.
What disturbs me about this, some of my people are a little locked in the Middle Ages, but this is taking away the attention that should be paid to lunatics like Jenny, whoever.
McCarthy.
Yeah, whatever. The people that have a big voice that are out on the internet, and the average community, you got these lunatics that refuse to vaccinate their kids, and they're not. You can go to this doctor in Santa Monica, and he'll sign you off for $40 visit, whatever, saying this kid doesn't need to be vaccinated. But there's you get the Hasidic Jews in New York, and how many are there in the country? But you got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of progressive people that are anti-vaccination, and I think that's why there's once you get below 84% vaccination, then you get into epidemics. You have to maintain the herd vaccination
I'm with the
rate.
vaccinations the same way as I am with the DNA samples. Like, fuck it, it's 2019,
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
Sorry,
Common
we
sense.
live in a society. You can get on a plane and be in another continent in 15 hours. We're sorry. There are things we have to do. That's fine. You have to have car insurance. You have to pay your taxes. You have to vaccinate. There's a bunch of stuff we have to do. We'll just add this to that. That'll be fine. If not, go take up residence in Mexico or something.
Well, or there should be, a certain amount of hoops. I mean, if you're the parent of the one kid who can't get vaccinated, there will be a lengthy and involved process to go, okay, understood, everyone, but not my kid, and here's why. And that way you can still maintain the 83%.
Right.
It's not just, like getting a service dog thing online.
But I'm the same way with the kosher meal on the airplane, which is, oh, you want a kosher meal? Oh, we don't have a kosher meal.
Bring
Fuck
a
off.
kosher meal.
Bring a kosher meal. Bring a fucking pickle and put it up your ass, douche. Fuck you with everybody with this shit where we got a vegetarian this, fucking do your own thing.
I can't decide if Adam likes the Jews or doesn't like the Jews.
I love the Jews.
When they're
I
reasonable.
I realize
But,
that
there's a butt coming.
they jump the Shabbat every once in a while. They get too Jewy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They go too hard Jew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You did just play a clip of Woody Allen talking about herring, so I guess
I
we're
love that
back on
movie.
track.
Herring.
Well, by the way, for the kiddish luncheon after every, because we had to go to Shabbat every Saturday morning for my entire life, and I always thought this was a Jewish thing until I, tuned into Prairie Home Companion and all the Norwegians. Every kiddish luncheon had a giant platter of creamed herring. I never
now they
tried
love
it.
it.
I've never had it.
It's a herring-based
My
economy.
grandfather loved herring. I love the Jews because of my grandfather, because everyone in my family is a fucking nut job, and my grandfather was like normal and made lunches.
That's
and
all my
things.
father got out of your book. Oh, his grandfather was a Joe.
He's a good dude. Like he was a regular.
He's a good dude, right?
Good
Yeah.
dude. Yes, I've always, and every Jewish family I knew growing up was sort of intact and normal. All the goyim were a fucking mess. So I got that early and often.
Yeah, except my Jewish friend said, "You're not a Jew." I said, "Well, I'm not. I'm half." No, you're not. You're nothing. If
Oh,
your
because your
father's
dad's Jewish.
I'd say I was enough Jew to be roasted in Hitler's oven, so shut the F up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. I was
That's
angry.
good.
Or
You're
Jewish.
Jewish.
What?
Yeah, you're just
You
Jewish.
tell me how to handle my. I don't have an identity now.
Or at the California border with Mexico, according to AOC.
Right.
He roasted there too.
Hey, so, just for clarification, when I said C word, I meant comrade, not.
Oh, obviously.
I can't
We
use
all
that other
did.
C word
No,
and
no.
maintain my
course.
board certification.
So we talked about Bill Cosby the other day. He made sure that his friendly Father's Day tweets came out. And there's a little more Cosby news today. He is working pretty hard in prison, not in the laundry room, not in the kitchen. He's giving lectures. His reps say the
of his
comic
cell.
has a large audience in prison who come to listen to him lecture a few times a week. According to TMZ, Cosby talks about leading by example, staying out of trouble, being a good father, finding work post-prison, tips on interview techniques. He mostly meets with a group called Man Up, which consists of inmates who are due for parole. Then he talks to them about getting on the right track, staying out of prison. And he manages to get quite a crowd going. About 100 inmates come to these lectures a few times a week.
We have a clip.
let's.
Oh, yeah. Hey, 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 it's America's dad. That's
mean,
how he
he
opens
sounds
it.
great.
Yeah, he sounds refreshed.
Well, I have controversial thoughts about that, and we'll see what you guys think. First, I'll tell you about LifeLock. A recent survey found privacy is the number one concern about smart home devices. 68% believe devices listen when you're not aware and share data. One tech giant employs thousands of people to listen to what people say around their smart speakers. Oh, man, Big Brother is out there and going strong. So many ways. Cyber criminals can try and take what's yours, and your personal info is exposed. Someone could use it to commit identity theft. Good thing, LifeLock Identity Theft Protection adds the power of Norton Security to help protect against threats to your devices you might not easily see or be able to fix on your own if there's a problem. Don't worry. You got LifeLock, right, Dawson?
No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock with Norton Security can see threats you might miss on your own. Go to LifeLock.com or call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code Adam for 10% off your first year. That's promo code Adam at LifeLock.com or 1-800-LifeLock for 10% off.
All right. So let's float this controversial subject. Man's sexuality. Historically, guys can be pretty far off with their sexuality in terms of doing things we sort of disagree with. Now, Bill crossed the line into criminality with his sexuality, but guys we admire, your Martin Luther Kings and your John Kennedys, were pretty far over the line with their sexuality, yet we admire them, and our thing is sort of like, well, all right, they had their dalliances and they had their proclivities and some pretty crazy stories with Kennedy, but listen to what the man has to say.
Right,
He's
yeah.
still got some good advice.
You can separate the two.
Yeah, and I think guys especially have always been that way. Like guys up to everything else and then come back and then they may be good community leaders or whatever, generals or run companies or whatever it is. So Bill probably has some good advice for people who are in prison.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been espousing all this advice for how many years he was getting doctorates right and left.
Yeah, and he was saying, hey, folks, young black men, pull up your pants and speak the Queen's English when you're doing a job interview, and it'll be easier to get that job, you know? And he was saying things that was like, that made sense, but we weren't going to hear it coming from the aforementioned Woody Allen. We needed a brother up there to share the gospel. But again, we can separate that. Now, his sexuality spilled over into criminality, which is different, but everyone else he's preaching to isn't exactly a choir boy either.
Right.
'Cause they're there for something.
Right.
So let him preach.
I would say the only difference, and maybe it's nuanced, but if you think of like maybe say like a speaker at a recovery meeting or something, and they're full of sort of self-reflection and humility, and and because of that they have wisdom to impart. I don't think that element is getting into Bill Cosby's lectures.
Well, here's what I would say. I would say if he's talking about how to conduct yourself in a job interview, I'm fine. If he's talking about you always open the woman's car door and shut it and then go around the back side of the car and open your door, you always... Now, don't order for the woman unless she asks for help on the menu, and then always let her order first when the maitre d'. Like if he's
she
doing,
gets up. She gets up
you
also.
stand
Make sure you
when
stand,
she stands. If he's giving tips on that, then you should tune him out.
It's a
He's
very
got
good point.
no business giving those tips.
Agreed.
But if he's talking about how to make up a resume to get a job at like a sheet metal factory or something, then yeah, okay.
How to comport
All
yourself in an
ears.
interview.
Sure. Okay. There is this video going around, this viral video that is crazy in terms of turbulence on an airplane.
Bruce's son made it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's on there. So real quick, don't play it yet. So we've all experienced turbulence, and it can be scary. It's usually nothing. It's just air pockets, whatever. And on American airlines, I mean, literally airlines that are American. The flight attendants, get a heads up and go hit your jump seat. But this maybe heroic flight attendant or whatever, they don't have the same rules. She wasn't so lucky. Yahoo News reports that frightening passenger video was captured during this severe turbulence on a flight between Kosovo and Switzerland on Sunday. And it shows this drink cart and the flight attendant hitting the ceiling so hard that they both, everything goes everywhere. We'll play it a couple times so you can see
Free
it.
travelers.
So and many of the people around the drink cart obviously were hit with things. They were scalded with hot coffee. I'm just going to show this to you guys. We can put it up too if you want. She's in yellow behind this woman.
Oh, she went up. Hit her head on the ceiling.
Everything goes everywhere.
There was a recurring scene in the show Lost. Remember they kept showing the plane over and over again? They showed someone hitting the roof over and over again. It wasn't supposed to be funny. It laughed every time. Hilarious.
Well, according to a spokesman for Euro Airport, 10 passengers were dispatched to local hospitals for minor injuries. Apparently, the flight attendant was just trying to collect all the drinks before this turbulence happened, but she didn't make it in time. She's in good health, but pretty scary.
I like that. Although no insurance company should ever have to pay her, because if there was ever an act of God, like a force majeure, come on.
Is the plane getting swatted?
Can't argue with that.
No.
You're literally in the heavens.
Yeah.
And he's just shaking you up like a rattle can.
That's right.
I mean, come on now. That's act of God.
That's a good
I'm not
point.
paying a penny if I'm the insurance company. Everyone in that plane, it's all force majeure.
You're in God's backyard.
Her vertical was outstanding.
Yeah.
And what I assume was heels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to just leave the seatbelt on. Why not? I'm so used to it these days.
It's weird. I used to have a fear of flying. I did when I started this show, and that's when we started sort of touring every weekend, so I had to get over that fast. But I don't anymore. But turbulence never bothers me.
Fear of flying is right up there with fear of everything that everyone thinks is baked into their DNA, and it's absolutely not. I did zero flying from 0 to about 31, maybe 32, literally zero. And then at a certain point at age, let's see, at age 33, 34, I went on the road with Dr. Drew, and we were playing colleges all over the country. Like, you're doing Syracuse this weekend, and then you're coming
look
back
up
and
where it was.
hitting Iowa on the way back or something. And we're just on planes all the time. And I hated it, and I white-knuckled it, and I was nervous the night before, and so on and so forth. And now it's just get on and off of planes all day. And my son gets on and off planes all day because that's part of his life. And so this notion of I have a fear of flying, you don't have a fear of flying, you have no experience with flying. And some people are wired a little more neurotic, like the folks that were complaining at that. They said they needed to be vaccinated. Yeah, but
I've been flying my entire life, and it just kind of hit me as an adult. Like, I don't like this anymore.
Oh, well, that's more the exception than the rule.
Yeah.
The rule is you don't like flying because you don't fly. You don't like flying. You don't like tarantulas because you've never held a tarantula.
Right.
You grow up around them and hold them and whatever. It's not that big a deal. And so for me, I just realized the more I flew, the less I cared about it. But I did not like. It's almost like in this modern age, you should get your kid out to the airport a couple of times before their 15th birthday to get them acclimated, because I never went on a plane once, and all I would do is sit home and see news spots about commercial airlines crashing and be freaked out by it. I never want to go on an airplane.
Right.
I worry somebody's going to have a full arrest or get sick, and I don't have to take care of them the
You're
whole
the
trip.
one. Yeah.
My friend had that happen. The guy died in the front of the plane. They had to carry him to the back.
Oh, God.
He was going to China. And then they kept him at the airport 5 hours after the coroner got there, and then they said, "Thank you."
Oh,
wow.
That's not a perk of the job.
Your friend was on a flight
to China. And an old guy had a cardiac arrest at the front of the plane. So they were doing CPR, and they were doing whatever they could. And it was 2 hours into this long flight. And so then, okay, now what do we do? So they wrapped him up, carried him to the back of the plane, through the plane. And then
Jesus.
they were coming from China here. And so when he got to LAX, they were like, well, now what? Well, you got to stay here until the coroner gets here. And it was
because your friend's a doctor.
Because my friend's a doctor, right?
Was he doing CPR on that cat, or is that a different dude?
No, that was the.
He got winded.
I'm not really listening.
He's a good Samaritan. He's a cat Samaritan.
Bruce, have you ever had to do medical stuff at a restaurant, a public place?
Oh, at the raves. Yeah.
No, but not when you were on duty is what I'm saying. Off duty.
He wasn't on duty.
Oh, he was attending the rave.
Elmo backpack and his glow stick.
Stopping an accident. I was stopping at car accidents usually. I was on the way to Loveline one night. This guy crashed his low-rider pickup truck into the freeway, and blood was flying out of his mouth. I think I showed up all bloody that night.
Yeah,
and going home that night, there was another accident I had to stop at. So never rains or pours.
That was one of my fake movies. I gotta dig this one out, Max Zapata. Was Rave Doctor. It was the doctor he was a physician whose son OD'd at a rave, and now he's working as a rave doctor, and he's traveling the land. It's got a little Incredible Hulk, a little Bill Bixby. He's trying to find the drug dealer who poisoned his son. Ooh. But meanwhile, he's having to save these kids the whole time. He's always a step behind.
Right.
He's right on the heels of finding the guy who killed his son. But meanwhile, duty calls when the kid starts convulsing. He's got to jump in. And love is found on occasion as well.
Hey, did I get credited? It sounds like something I planted the seed.
I said love is found.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Shut the
Where were we?
All right. So, the success of a television miniseries examining the world's worst nuclear accident at Chernobyl has driven up numbers of tourists wanting to see the place for themselves and the ghostly abandoned town that neighbors it. This is according to Reuters. I just finished it. I mean, it literally just aired, and tourist agencies are reporting a 40% rise in trip bookings since the HBO series began in May.
40%.
Yeah. 4 people came.
Oh, look at the picture. I mean, there's a line out the door to see this.
No, but I'm just saying it is kind of funny that they were having there was a Chernobyl tourism
Oh, right,
board
sure.
already.
Number.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've almost doubled. How much tourism before this was
This
there?
is like a
That's a good
Simpsons
question.
joke, like touring, like vacationing in Chernobyl.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you get on a bus in Kiev, which is about 75 miles away, and they take you over there. You can look around. The area around the plant retains the feel of this post-apocalyptic wasteland. It was home to 50,000 people who mainly worked at the plant. Due to the radiation, which should be present for the next 20,000 years, according to LiveScience.com, the rules are very strict for visitors. I mean, there's no lounging around or taking things with you. Don't take anything to the state. You can't sit. You can't set your stuff on anything.
How's the conversation with the wife go? Like, all right, I'm thinking either Maui or John Benet Ramsey's house or Chernobyl. What's your take? It's only
Two of
those three.
seem real bad.
Well, we did win Maui the last
So-
2 years.
You saying John Benet Ramsey's house in Maui seem bad?
No, there's one that could literally kill us. With
They never. They think the brother might have done it
No, with the radiation.
from the pineapples.
No, the one close to Kiev. The
All
one
right,
that.
so all right. I think what
The
I'm
ground
hearing
is still
I've narrowed
radioactive?
it down between John Benet Ramsey's house and Chernobyl. So, shall I surprise you?
Maybe I'll just head off to Maui. You can do what you
Oh,
got.
I'm also toying with going to Guyana, where the Jim Jones mass grave is.
The Flavor Aid.
Yeah,
Hey, Mom and Dad, you guys talk about vacation this year?
yeah. We got
trying.
Chernobyl. We got Benet Ramsey. I mean, the Ramsey residence.
I'm familiar.
And French Guyana, where Jim Jones laid his stakes down.
Okay, so, either of those is fine. As long as it's,
Waco.
Oh, you
my
sweetened
God.
the pot.
Yeah.
As long as it's not Maui again,
Or
I'm fine
Ruby
with
Ridge.
any of the.
Maybe you guys just want to do a boys' week.
All right, like over at the Federal Building in Oklahoma City.
No, we did a field trip there earlier this year. Don't you remember?
Oh, okay. Oh, how about we go to where that mine collapsed in Cuba,
Chile.
Chile? What about
We
that?
could go 3 Mile Island.
Okay.
Little closer.
Oh, that's better.
That's right. Have to get our passports.
You
Yeah.
guys have a great spring break. I'll be in Kauai.
We are.
I'll
yeah,
see
okay.
you next Monday.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go to the. We want to stay local. We'll go to the Symbionese Liberation Front burnt out house in Watts. That we can get to this evening.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
to
that's a daycation.
Let's
like
do
a plane
that.
or anything.
Yeah.
That's right.
And in case you're wondering, and do you know anything, Dr. Bruce, about microsieverts? That's the
the measure of
quantifying
radiation.
Right? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I
Well,
know what it is.
I'll just give you a little. Yeah, Brian, maybe you do.
Also, it was units of gray. Is that something different?
This is for radiation specifically. According to the tour guides, you're only exposed to about 2 microsieverts of radiation. And I don't know why this was the example they gave, but she said to put that in perspective, that's equal to the amount of radiation you'd get staying home for 24 hours. And I don't know if that's implying because your TVs and modems. I don't know what that's implying, but they said that the people who were at the plant when Chernobyl melted down, that was equivalent to getting about 120,000 chest X-rays at the same time.
Yeah, fly across countries like a chest X-ray, supposedly.
Right, because you're closer.
Right.
You're
There's
closer to the sun.
background radiation. And
So what about like Colorado and places that have high elevation?
I don't think it's an increased risk of cancer from that. Things like radon, other, in the house basements, there are
Got it.
other places more likely.
So happy vacation.
I could feel the air was thinner when we were in Colorado for the first time. I've never really experienced that. We were just driving around all day, and then we jumped out of the car and we started up these stairs, and I could feel it. I've never really felt it before.
Have you raced at a higher altitude, though, where it affected you had to adjust your carburation or anything?
No, but I do know there's an issue with like Pikes Peak and stuff like that, where they have to kind of the air's thin, and it makes it tough, and that's why I think the future for all those records, like the mountain climb on Pikes Peak, is all going to be electric cars, because there's nothing to combust.
Right.
There's nothing, and it's immediate torque and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's issues about altitude, the thinness of the air, and the density of the air, and how that affects negatively the internal combustion.
Did
Yes.
Sonny notice that your drinking was more violent? Doug?
No, he said it was medium violent.
Okay. So normal. So that didn't change.
No, I don't feel. I've been there. We've done the Aspen a few times and stuff like that. I didn't notice it. Jimmy yacked in the elevator, like onto like some executive or something. But I never experienced that with the altitude. But I did when we got up to Red Rocks. I guess Red Rocks is probably up even more.
I imagine.
And it was probably at the 6,000 or 7,000 foot range, and you could feel it.
Yeah.
And if you were like a super hard rocking band, like John Popper's probably got to pull up a stool at Red Rocks. He's going to be blowing and blowing and blowing and singing and blowing.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those amazing, talented DJs who pushes the button on your smartphone
Puts your
and
hand in
then
the
jumps constantly in front and sprays whipped cream into the audience, you might have to slow your roll a little bit. Some of those people may not experience the majesty of you jumping up and down like a retarded person and spraying Dijonnaise into the front row like fucking Gallagher.
Just take your helmet off once in a while.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let me hit Geico. Everyone's got the to-do list. How about you save money on your auto insurance? 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on your auto insurance. Why not take that extra money, put it in your pocket? It'll be the most rewarding thing you do all day at Geico. Take a few minutes and find out just how much you could be saving on your auto insurance at Geico. That is geico.com. All right, Gene, let's do one more.
All right. Well, again, since we have Dr. Bruce here, this is an embarrassment of riches. You know a lot about meth.
Yes.
I don't know if you know how it affects squirrels, but I might have some questions about it because Fox News reports that an attack squirrel housed in an Alabama apartment and fed methamphetamine by its owner to make sure it stayed aggressive and stayed an attack squirrel was rescued on Monday. The squirrel was removed from the alleged drug den by investigators following a bust at an apartment. The sheriff's office said that prior to the drug raid, officials were told 35-year-old Mickey Polk, we're looking at him right now, kept an attack squirrel in his home, and that it's illegal in Alabama to have a pet squirrel.
Definitely not a Jew.
Yep. Officials found the squirrel and released him into the wild. That was the recommendation. As for Polk, meth, drug paraphernalia, and body armor were seized from the apartment. Is that squirrel going to be okay?
Squirrel will never have ADHD again.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Laser focus.
Any kind, but
Methylphenidate.
when you get a patient that's been on methamphetamine, it's the most destructive to the brain. You have somebody who's been shooting heroin. If they live through it and get sober, their brains are usually pretty intact. But the methamphetamine addicts, they're just never the same.
Really?
Well, yeah, and the
be
paranoia is sometimes
reversed.
permanent. Well, it depends. It just has more toxicity. It has more neurotoxicity.
Do you feel like that squirrels have a high circulating amount of meth in their system already? Like if you see the way squirrels react, like their heads always popped up, they're always like going, "What? Who's talking about me? What's going on?" Yeah, they just run out in the middle of the street and then stop, and they look around, then they run. Like if you take a panda bear. Pandas act like they've been eating pot brownies their entire life.
Yeah.
Like they just sit there with their feet up and they
Rolling
super
around.
slowly go about like just eating their eucalyptus or their bamboo or whatever. They're just like sitting there. Squirrels seem that way
Edgy.
already.
Yeah.
You got to keep moving to stay alive. It's a genetic.
I guess, but
Well, they're
but once
prey.
I thought you were going with the environment. That I drove from LAX up to Silver Lake because the freeways were blocked on side streets, and with the homeless population, we're talking about drugs and the drugs in the water supply, in the road. These animals eat, leftover food, whatever, waste products from people. They've talked about antidepressants in the water, and the fish are killing themselves. You've heard those crazy stories?
No.
Yeah, they're doing crazy. Fish are doing
But they're
crazy.
antidepressants.
Yeah, but
We
they're
have fish.
disinhibited. They're not afraid of anything.
Oh my God.
So, and opiates.
I'm free.
No, yeah. So, what do you do when this stuff gets in the water supply? All these people using the drugs, they don't all get metabolized to something else. They get into methamphetamine. You measure, guarantee you look in the water that's flowing out of anywhere in LA, and there's meth and heroin, like
heroin. Yeah. What do you call the hero in a novel who's a female?
a heroin.
Come on, buddy.
I'm not thinking. I'm just speaking.
Yeah. So it's weird and depressing on like a million different fronts and levels. What we're dealing with people out on the street and just sort of the waste and the trash and everything else.
Speaking of the aforementioned heroin, I remember having my young, balding, chubby mind blown listening to Loveline, probably working there at the time, and Drew's like, yeah, heroin doesn't really have a negative effect on your body anywhere. Like the people using it, like the habits it creates and the sharing of the needles and blah, blah, but the actual like heroin, apparently, this is what I remember. Drew's like, yeah, it doesn't really have much of a negative effect.
Well, fascinating. Since he said that, we've learned so much about receptor systems. What happens when people abuse an opiate, different people react differently, but you actually have involution of the receptors. So some people permanently, it's like, why do some people crave forever? Other people react, they get off it and they're okay. But some people's receptors never come back. So when you take an opiate, those opiate receptors your body destroys them because they're not used to this super strong stimulus. And some people don't grow them back.
So Drew's a liar.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just, the research with receptors and all this neurophysiology is amazing just in the last 5 to 10 years. It's changing psychiatry, it's changing addiction medicine.
Wow. So what is you made the joke, I'm sure, for a reason. And I got prescribed Ritalin when there was only Ritalin when I was little and haven't been on it in a million years. But what is the difference between meth and, methylphenidate or methamphetamine or, what we give kids and what we try and get, addicts off of?
Adderall is amphetamine salts. Methamphetamine is metabolized to amphetamine. Exactly the same thing. Somebody does a line of meth, like 50 milligrams minimal. You take Adderall 10, 20, 30 milligrams extended release. So your brain's getting an extremely small amount over a long period of time. You're just priming that part of the brain that puts the brakes on things, so it slows people down. Now, if somebody takes the 10 milligrams of Adderall and snorts it or shoots it up, you're getting a blast of dopamine, euphoria. So it's the same idea as if you take, even if you take opiates appropriately, some people get that. Some people take Norco, they get energy, they get euphoria. Other people, they just get pain relief. And that's because of all the receptor differences between different people. It's fascinating stuff.
All right, Gina, let's bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Here's the pecking order of people we're scared of. Black people, black people, black people, gay, black, gay, gay, black. That's who we're scared of.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Certainly politicians are. All right, let me hit Simply Safe in just 15 seconds. No one should feel unsafe at home, and that's why we got Simply Safe. 2 eyes in there, simplysafe.com/Adam. Protect your home today and get free shipping with simplysafe.com/Adam. All right, good sports is coming up next. I'm going to be at Portland, Helium Comedy Club, July 19th and 20th. Maybe Sonny will be there. He's now got bitten by the bug. The bug meaning free surf and turf in the back of the club, everybody. That's right. Dr. Spaz, everyone. You can shoot him a tweet at Dr. Bruce H. and hit him on Instagram at Dr. Bruce H. as well. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. And, of course, Laughs with Bald Brian coming up. That is at the Avalon in Hollywood. Tickets available at laughswithbaldbrian.com. It's going to be a fun night of stand-up. And Not Taco Bell Material, my stand-up special, available as we speak. And Meme Gods and When We Went Mad. You can get involved with that at microventures.com/Am. Until next time. Adam Carolla for Dr. Bruce and Gina Grad and Bald Brian and, oh God, where did I put
Megan
her?
Cloherty.
Megan Cloherty sang Mahalo.
It was enough Jew to be roasted in Hitler's oven, so shut the F up.
Good sports with Dave Damashek and Adam Carolla is coming right up. Follow the Adam Carolla Show on Twitter at Adam Carolla Show. Follow Ace on Twitter at Adam Carolla. You can leave us a voicemail. We'd appreciate it if you did at 888-634-1744. Subscribe to Take an E. You'll get a weekly dose of inspiration and motivation. Just click on the link at adamcarolla.com for tickets and info on all the live podcasts, man, great events, books, movies, and more. Go to adamcarolla.com.